Greetings, greetings, greetings.
Yep, good night, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the conversation. Again, we've been missing for quite some time, missing in action for a little while, um, but we're back. It's going to be more consistent now, as you notice. We're on a Sunday evening. We're hoping, like to get the audience more familiar with this particular day. We're not going to be leaving out Tuesday evenings as well, but just to make sure there's a little bit more consistency with how we get stuff done, we've kind of decided to extend the conversation to Sundays as well. So we kind of grab what's going on during the week and also what's going on the weekend so that we can update you on a lot of happenings in Guyana. This evening, we want to talk a lot about uh, integrity. All right. And when we say integrity, you're talking about integrity across the board, especially in the political sphere, in the government sphere of Guyana. But just before we jump into that, and what we're going to do this evening as well, um, for those people who are looking, you can contribute by leaving your comments in the comment section. Or if you want to join the conversation, just drop us a message. We'll, link you in, or you can call me on +592 641 0945, or you can hit Martin up on.
305-713-8595.
All right. So just before we get into this evening's conversation, Martin, the disclaimer, please, to ensure that
All
we
right.
see so
And the
yeah.
disclaimers reads, the views, opinions, and statements expressed on the conversation are solely those of the individual hosts and guests, and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of our advertisers, Majestic Music Radio, Gem Radio, or Gem Network. The content of this show is intended for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be considered as professional advice. Listeners' discretion is advised. Neither the station nor the network assumes any responsibility, liability, or accuracy. Sorry, neither the station nor the network assumes any responsibility or liability for the accuracy, completeness, or validity of the information presented. All content is subject to change without prior notice.
But as we always say, search for that
Google it.
information. Google it,
Yes, sir.
research. All right. So let me kind of jump straight into when I talk about integrity, what we're talking about, and specifically what we'll be zooming in on this evening in the conversation. We want to look at the parliament now and what's going to be happening with the parliamentarians, especially the new um, parties that are going into parliament. What they have to expect, obviously, going into parliament for the first time, because out of the three opposition parties that are going into parliament, only one of those individuals at the helm of a new political party has got any parliamentary experience, period. The head of the Win party has not gotten any parliamentary experience. Mr. Campbell from the PNC, now going into parliament, has zero parliamentary knowledge. However, Amanza Walton Nazir from the Forward Guyana movement, she's the only one who has any parliamentary experience. And of course, on the PPP side, they're returning with a lot of stalwarts who've been there for quite some time, like Gail Teixeira. And they're also bringing some new people in as well. We've got some new ministers that are coming on the scene. So while all of this is happening, and people were more concerned about, how, for example, the Win Party head would have been paid um, through Parliament because everybody thought, well, you're going to be paid by check um, while doing your work at Parliament, but there is space for cash payments as well. So we heard from the clerk of the National Assembly who says yes, persons can be paid by cash. All right, so I wanna delve right into the meat of the conversation this evening that deals specifically with parliamentary laws and a particular aspect of the parliamentary laws which deals with the declaration of assets. And this is for all persons going in to parliament. And it reads, in Guyana, the declaration of assets is mandated by the Integrity Commission. All right. And that is Act 2601 of the Constitution, which overseen by the Integrity Commission. The law requires public officials to disclose their income, assets, and liabilities to promote integrity, transparency, and public trust. All right. The key provisions of the Integrity Commission Act are: the Act compels all persons in public life to file annual financial declarations with the Integrity Commission. This includes a this includes a broad range of public officials, such as parliamentarians, including members of the National Assembly, members of the regional democratic councils, heads and senior managers of state-owned banks and other state entities, members of the tender board as well are required to do that. And the scope of this declaration, the declaration must detail not only the assets and liabilities of the public official, but also those of their spouse and children under 18. The law broadly defines assets and liabilities to include property, rights, interest, and obligations held in Guyana or elsewhere. When they say elsewhere, I know this means overseas. Declarations must be filed on or before June the 30th of every year upon leaving office. A final declaration must be submitted within 30 days. And of course, there are consequences for non-compliance to the rules. And it says, failure to file or to submit or submitting a false declaration is a criminal offense. I'll read that again. Failure to file or submitting a false declaration is a criminal offense. The Integrity Commission can pursue prosecution against non-compliant officials and publish their names in the official gazette or a daily newspaper. The government has been reviewing the Integrity Commission Act to strengthen its provisions and improve compliance. As of late 2024, the following amendments were being developed. All right. Now, those amendments would be: the reporting period is expected to be changed from June to June to align the government's fiscal year and streamlining the process. All right. The introduction of election filing, electronic filing is being considered to make submissions more secure and effective. And of course, the Commission's functions may be broadened to include an advisory and consultative role on potential conflicts of interest. All right, those are some of the updates to the the whole body of the Integrity Commission. But one of the things we got to zoom in on is that we got new parliamentarians coming in. We've got individuals. For the first time, we have an individual who is sanctioned by OFAC from the US. We have parliamentarians who will be coming in who, before they even got into parliament, their bank accounts were frozen and they were revoked. So one of the things that we have to clear up, because a lot of people are kind of looking at how they're going to get paid. A matter of fact, there's a big infighting with one of the really lesser parties, because they've got one seat, which is the Forward Guyana Movement. They've got one seat in parliament, and they seem to have a big fight over who's going to be using that seat. If it's going to be Amanza, if it's going to be Mr. London or Durin Bess. But nobody has actually highlighted, and this is where I want to step aside a little bit and kind of target the journalists in Guyana who should be doing investigative reporting. They are supposed to understand this particular act, understanding it in its totality and disseminating the information to the population to inform them that the Integrity Commission is there to look at these issues and to make sure that these issues are sorted out. Now, how are we going to have parliamentarians in parliament who cannot pass the you know the standards of the Integrity Commission? That's one of the things I would like to have clarity from. Mr. Sherlock Isaacs, who is the clerk of the National Assembly. Reporters were there, I think, a couple of days ago, and they were asking him specific questions on payments and when there was going to be the first sitting of Parliament. But even before we get to that aspect of it, we should be looking at the laws on the declaration of assets. I'm hoping that those legal minds who usually listen to this program can jump in and give us a little bit more clarity on it. I have personally reached out to members who are going to be in Parliament. For example, I reached out to Mr. Bond. At the time, he was a bit caught up in some work. But I'm hoping that the legal luminaries do jump in and give some more clarity on, how do individuals get into Parliament if they're not able to pass or not be able to get proper approval from the Integrity Commission. I mean, when it comes to broadening the the commission's scope, I understand the broadening of the scope, but I do not understand, if you're broadening their scope, how do they not have the jurisdiction to prevent somebody who does not abide by the rules of the Integrity Commission to even enter the chamber? That's my first question to those people who I know for a fact the last Integrity Commission was dissolved in just before elections. So they should have a new constituted body coming up before we have the first sitting of the National Assembly. So how do we reconcile this action? How do we reconcile this action? I see somebody has dropped a comment. There needs to have a strong opposition, and so that the people have accountability. I understand what you're saying, my brother, but this is even before the opposition or even the government of the day gets into Parliament. There's supposed to be a vetting process through the Integrity Commission where you must declare your assets, the assets of your spouse and children as well. And this is to ensure that there is transparency, all right, and a level of integrity so that we know what you are going into Parliament with, so that when you're out of Parliament, you don't suddenly become a billionaire, which we know obviously you couldn't become a billionaire from the salaries of what you were getting paid in Parliament. And this is what the citizenry of Guyana really need to pay attention to. Instead of worrying about who is going to be the opposition leader, because at this stage, if the laws of Guyana are properly enforced, a lot of the individuals who are on the opposition side are not going to be in Parliament. And that's a fact. If they don't have the information that they can actually pass the Integrity Commission to be in the chamber, how are they going to be in there? And this should have been the question of the day. While people are looking at, the they're looking at Mohammed's in terms of he sanctioned. How does he end up in parliament? He ends up in parliament because of votes, and there's no way that people can say, "Oh, he wasn't voted in, so he has no right to be in parliament." He got votes. However, there is a law in Guyana, all right, and that has put a commission in place, which is the Integrity Commission, under the Act of 2601, which specifies that every single person that holds public office, high public office, has to declare their assets. This also goes for the members of the police force. And of course, you remember in 2024, there was a big scandal with one of, was it the deputy commissioner? It was Martin.
He had the commissioner position.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
commissioner or deputy commissioner um, had large sums of money in 5 bank accounts, which basically was tantamount to almost 4 to 5 million US dollars. Now, we know that there is no way that he could have garnered that amount of money, even if he saved every single cent of his salary. He didn't pay any bills and didn't eat for that amount of time. He'd be able to accumulate part of that money, not that money. So, this is why the Integrity Commission is so vital to the development of the process moving forward. So while a lot of individuals have been talking about Parliament and when the sitting is going to happen, which I do believe is going to happen in January of next year, 2026, I I still think that the citizenry of Guyana should be raising a voice to ensure that the Integrity Commission is instituted, which is a rightful body under the Constitution of Guyana that should be put in place so that it can start its work of vetting every single person that's going into the chamber, which would include the government, the new government ministers and parliamentarians who are going in. They also have to be vetted, and also to make sure that the older ones also submit their information regarding their assets and liabilities and their spouse and their children's liabilities. Because this is not the time for Guyanese to just leave it up to any single party to say, okay, we are going to be fair and transparent. We, as the citizenry of Guyana, have an opportunity to add pressure to the entire system as it is right now to say exactly what it is that we want. And I'm hoping that a lot of people focus on this and don't just focus on, oh, when the president goes in, when the president says he's going to give us cash grants, because I think people are missing the point here. In order for us to be, as some people like to state Guyana as an oil rich nation, which we are not. We're an oil producing nation for the last 4 going into 5 years. We're an oil producing nation and not an oil rich nation. The only way we're going to become an oil rich nation is under something called prudent management. And that prudent management has to go along with this very commission. Because we cannot have individuals who go into parliament and when they leave parliament, they have several houses, they can import all kinds of expensive cars, and we know for a fact there is no way they could have garnered that on a salary working as a parliamentarian, working as a commissioner of police, working at an NDC, because all these public offices under the Constitution have to declare their assets under the Integrity Commission. So they should have no public officer of high rank having the ability to sidestep the Integrity Commission.
So we do have some information that we'd like to share. That way
Yeah,
everybody have a more clear understanding of everything we're going to be speaking on tonight.
yeah,
Because it's not like we're just coming up with the information. This is in law,
yeah.
written,
It's in
black
the
and
Guyana
white,
law.
right?
Correct.
So
Correct.
these are some of the things that the high ranking officials in office should be following. And once followed strict and enforced, we
Mm-hmm.
won't have to be hearing, oh, this minister got two houses and the family got this and all of them
And
nonsense. We won't have to be
we
hearing
wouldn't hear the rhetoric about friends and
that, right?
family. We
Correct.
wouldn't hear that friends and family. The friends and family gone.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So that would completely wipe out the level of corruption that we so much like to complain about, but at the same time, don't necessarily do anything about it for some
Correct.
reason. I don't understand why,
Mm-hmm.
right?
And just as you're setting up the information, just let me say this: we
Mm-hmm.
have so many legal minds on both sides of the aisle
Indeed.
because the Forward Guyana movement head is a lawyer.
Correct.
All right, there's several lawyers in the PNC, and there's several lawyers in the PPP. But do we hear them come out and specifically talk about the Integrity Commission and what needs to be done? I'm, I'm, I'm putting this out there to the citizenry. Do you hear them come out, any one of these legal luminaries, and talk about this particular issue? I'm wondering why.
I personally, for all my years, have not heard anybody came out and speak on this matter. And this is why, from since I growing up, I could have said, "Oh, that person was a crook."
Mm-hmm.
Right? And even if I didn't say it, that was the talk around town. That person is a crook. That person got so much money. This person did this and so forth. So with
Mm-hmm.
having the Integrity Commission functioning in its right capacity, I do hope that everybody, well, the new members coming in understand their portfolio because clearly the last set did not and will prove, well, I'll prove what I'm saying just
Correct.
shortly, right? Just after
Mm-hmm.
this video that is going to pretty much give you an insight on what the Integrity Commission is set out to do,
Yeah.
right?
Yes. Run that video.
In 1997, Guyana formally established the Integrity Commission of Guyana in its present form.
The Integrity Commission is an independent oversight organization established under the Integrity Commission Act of
My
1997.
apologies. Let me bring that back.
In 1997, Guyana formally established the Integrity Commission of Guyana in its present form.
The Integrity Commission is an independent oversight organization established under the Integrity Commission Act of 1997. The purpose of this commission is to secure the integrity of persons in public life.
The Integrity Commission regulates the conduct of those officials by requiring that they declare annually their income, assets, and liabilities to the said commission.
Persons in public life are required annually to file declarations with the commission stating their income from all sources in and out of Guyana, their income, their assets, and liabilities with the commission. A declarant cannot leave any income out of his declaration. The declaration, all income from all sources in and out of Guyana must be declared. Well, the Act has a schedule, Schedule 1, for example, and it lists all the people who are supposed to declare their income, assets, and liabilities to the Commission.
A list of all the public officials covered by the Integrity Commission Act can be found here. integritycommission.gov.gy/Schedule 1. In addition, there is a code of conduct that public officials must follow, and it identifies what constitutes misconduct under the Integrity Commission Act. Some of the areas that would amount to misconduct include bribery, discrimination, accepting gifts as a motive to perform his or her duties, conflict of interest, misuse of official influence, mishandling classified or proprietary information, misuse of public property, sexual misconduct, acceptance of lavish or frequent entertainment from persons with whom the government has or is likely to have official dealings, use of office in an improper manner. More information on the Code of Conduct can be found at this URL integritycommission.gov.gy/schedule 2. Do you know who make up the Integrity Commission and how they are selected? Commissioners are appointed only after the president has reviewed the application, consulted with the leader of the opposition, and they both agree on the person. If a person fails to make a declaration or makes a false declaration, he or she faces a fine of $25,000 and a prison term of no less than 6 months or no more than 1 year on summary conviction, conviction before a magistrate. If the non-disclosure is specifically related to property, the magistrate shall order the person to comply within a specified time. If the public official still fails to comply, then the official can be further fined $10,000 for each day on which the offense continues. To find out specifically what must be declared and when, follow these URL integritycommission.gov.gy, images, the Act, integritycommission.gov.gy, declaration form.
Deadline for filing declarations is the 30th of June each year. We are hoping to have an amendment done to put that deadline in line with other fiscal years for other organizations, which is from the 1st of January to the 31st of December each year.
Anyone can report misconduct to the Commission once they have reasonable grounds to support that claim. And by supporting that claim, it means that they can assert an allegation once it is substantiated by the proper evidences. They can come to the Commission in person, which is the proper form of making a complaint. And there we will take down their allegations and their pieces of evidence and process it.
The Integrity Commission, securing the integrity of persons in public life. To find out more, check us out at integritycommission.gov.gy or come visit us.
All right. The first thing I want to make clear there is that the person narrating the video did a very good job right up to the end. The statement at the end is totally off because it's not to secure the individuals who are in public life. It's to ensure that the public understands and has full transparency of what those people in public life are doing. That's the kink in that whole statement. But I hope individuals who are watching understand from that very short video what the Integrity Commission should be doing when people are getting into Parliament. One of the other things too that was rather, I don't want to call it infantile in its mechanism or in how it was delivered, but where the young lady was talking about if you know of an issue with a parliamentarian or somebody in public office where you can submit information on a farm. All of that stuff is rather infantile thinking, when there should be adequate investigation done by an investigated body, an investigation body that is linked to the commission. That's what they should have. They should not be sitting there waiting and depending on somebody from the public to make a report on these issues. Because if a member of parliament gets a bribe, and just before we go into that, I just want to say there is an aspect to this that says if any parliamentarian or anybody in public office gets a gift from anybody valued over $10,000, they have to and must declare that. All right. So even if it's a family member that decided, okay, I'm gonna buy you a nice bracelet that is worth $40,000-$50,000, you have to declare that. All right. So let's have a couple of things very, very clear as we move forward in this in today's conversation, because a lot of people tend to miss the marker as well. A lot of these laws that, for example, the video showed need updating because, for example, it says upon summary conviction or failure to file or filing a false declaration, you are fined only what, 25,000 Guyana dollars? What about withholding your entire salary that you're supposed to be paid? What about seizing the asset that you refuse to declare? Because if we look at our sister CARICOM members and even the Commonwealth members who use this same integrity commission, because it's not only Guyana that has an integrity commission. Integrity commissions are across the Commonwealth. And in the structure of those countries' laws, there is enough power under the integrity commissions to seize assets, to freeze bank accounts, to withhold salaries. So this is what we need in Guyana when we have individuals who are going to be getting into the chamber at the highest legislative arm of our country. Basically, decision making on our future, not only on my future, but the future of my children. They need to be held accountable. And how do we hold these individuals accountable? We must have a very robust integrity commission, which Anil Nandalal, now appointed the Attorney General again, needs to give broad sweeping powers to the Integrity Commission. They also need to have way more investment in the Integrity Commission. It needs to have an independent office with independent investigators who have the power to subpoena documents, to get banking information, to get into every single financial dealing, whether it be real estate or any other arrangement, and get the actual facts. So if people are deciding to get into parliament and they're saying, okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to hide my assets with family members, I'm going to put things in my children's name, and you expect to get away with that. This is why we are now saying that everybody's arguing about, people going into parliament, who's going to be in power, who's going to be opposition, but nobody's actually looking at the system of administration, because the system of administration is what keeps those people, those 65 individuals that you have voted into positions of power. That system is what keeps those people in check. Because if that system is not a robust one and keeps them in check, they're going to do as they please and continue to do as they please. So every single parliamentarian getting into there, whether Mohammed got 42 billion Guyana dollars, when he getting in there, he still got to declare how he got it. every parliamentarian. The PPP is introducing 5 new ministers. And if those individuals are getting into parliament, I know Mr. Bond also is getting into parliament. Declaration of assets. We must know, as the Guyanese citizenry, what you have going into parliament. It has to be officially gazetted. All right. And for those people who do not want to abide by the Integrity Commission's law, which is mandated under the Constitution, they should be blocked from getting into the chamber until they bring their declaration and it is approved for them to get into the House. Because there is no way we should be allowing individuals who have no integrity, and we can't have transparency with them. They should not be the decision makers and the lawmakers of the country. And this is where Guyanese need to wake up and realize it's not just voting individuals into positions so they can get into parliament, but parliament also has to have that mechanism that will stop individuals who are obviously corrupt from getting into the chamber. And that first mechanism is the Integrity Commission. And if you're now joining us, you will understand that the Integrity Commission was established and put in place in 1997. So this is what has been happening for a very long time in Guyana, where a lot of individuals have been skirting the law. This is why you hear about friends and family and all these other things that happen, because Guyanese themselves, the citizenry, have refused to educate themselves about the laws of Guyana and where they can personally affect those laws and force the politicians to abide by the rules. And this is one of the mechanisms that will force them to abide by the rules. And if they're caught, and if they don't want to file, then you know that, listen, you have issues in the background that you're not telling us, and you're not being honest with the citizenry of Guyana. Because if you can't declare your assets and your liabilities and where you get your money from, then you should not be worthy of getting into the parliamentary structure of Guyana. You know, that is something that I am adamant about. I am looking at the situation. I'm hoping that Anil Nandalal, again, as being appointed the Attorney General of Guyana again, he has to. And this is why we have this program, which is called The Conversation. It's to educate the Guyanese citizenry, especially on these issues, that we cannot allow to just be swept under the table. An integrity commission has been put in place since 1997. However, you have individuals who have skirted, not abided by that rule. And Martin, I want you to pull up that chart and let us show the Guyanese public how many people have actually participated actively, and where is the teeth of the Integrity Commission over all these years. What have they done to bring our politicians to heel and to bring the politicians to act right? Because a lot of people do not understand the system.
All right, so just for informational purpose, again, this what we're looking at is the website
Yeah.
of the Integrity Commission, right? As
Yeah.
you could see right here, Ministry of Parliamentary. All right. So this is direct. There is the .gov site and everything. As we said before, we don't just pull these things out of the hat.
Of
And
course we're not. Yeah.
so the chart Malachi is speaking on, and everything here is the different ministries.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in Guyana, who have to be doing what and so forth.
Correct.
Right?
And I
Let me.
encourage all the listeners and the viewers, go on, especially Guyanese, share it with your friends and family. Go on the parliamentary website, look for this information because it's there. It's a constituted body. All right. Every single person of the 65 seats is supposed to declare. But one of the things I want to show you guys, right, is the chart over years of what has been going on in Parliament and how many parliamentarians in Guyana have actually been obeying the laws of Guyana.
Mhm.
This is what I want to really highlight.
All
How
right.
many of them have actually obeyed the law? Just scroll down to where we have the chart.
Yes, let me get that part real quick.
Because, I mean, a lot of people are on social media. They're claiming, oh, we're influencers, but influencing for what? Stupidity? Idiocy? The focus of most Guyanese who want, as they say, they want a better Guyana, you've got to focus on the laws. And if the laws are not being upgraded and changed, that do not allow loopholes for the politicians to jump through and play you like a fiddle, then who is to blame? Are you going to blame them for not teaching you? Or are you going to blame yourself for not teaching yourself and not making educated choices? Which one?
Hmm.
You have got to get the information in your head so you know how to make educated choices. If you don't make educated choices, then who is to blame? You can't blame somebody else and say, oh, well, they should have told me. No, they don't have to tell you. They do not have to tell you. So education is key. This is why when I see a lot of people on social media talking about certain issues, I'm like, but why are they not dealing? Because all the politicians are dealing with all the other issues except this. I'm quite sure a lot of people that are paying attention to this show this evening have never heard of the Integrity Commission. They've never heard of the things we're talking about this evening on this show.
For some reason, that exact website isn't don't seems to want to pull up.
Well, let's go back to where we had the screenshot of it. Could you pull that up?
Yes, give me 1 second.
Yeah,
Actually, let me pull it from the Facebook page itself
yeah, do that, please. Thanks.
because it's sending me to the Parliament page instead of the Integrity website directly.
Correct. But there is so much information that the Guyanese public should understand about, especially about the governance of the country. And um, I have a question here in the comments. Somebody's asking, it's possible, it's impossible to do as you please in Parliament. The structure will always stand. Well, the structure will only stand, Mr. English, if individuals um, obey the law and the law is enforced. Because a lot of people say, oh, they're obeying the law, but not such a thing happens. Because when I show you this chart of those individuals who have declared their assets over the years from 2013 to now, you will have a greater understanding of why Guyana is the way it is. When individuals will come on social media and talk about an issue and say it's corruption from top to bottom, you cannot have members of the 65-seat parliament who will skirt the Integrity Commission and not have penalties. I don't agree with the Integrity Commission laws as they are presently because fines of 25,000 Guyana dollars is nothing. Imprisonment for 6 months to a year is nothing. The only way you can deter and stop these types of things from happening where people believe I can still skirt the law, get into parliament, use my influence to make billions of dollars so I could become a billionaire or a millionaire when I leave. The only thing that will stop them is if they know that the commission is there at the door, either at the beginning or at the end, to put you in prison. Because every single year, every member of parliament is supposed to declare their assets. So you can't have one house and one car based on the parliamentary payments, and next year you got 5 houses and 10 cars. How did you get them? You have to be able to declare your assets and liabilities. These are some of the things that Guyanese have to understand. This is not rocket science. And the fact that it is on the websites makes that even more, like, I'm wondering, like, are our people really thinking about the future?
So while I don't have the website pulled up, for some reason don't want to load. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
sure what is going on. We did had it up earlier though.
Yeah,
I do have the Facebook page available, which
wonderful.
holds some of the same information,
The same information. But
right?
I want to get to that chart. That chart is critical for
Mm-hmm.
our people to fully understand and get an idea of what exactly we're talking about.
Correct.
Because that chart outlines the over time what the parliamentarians have been doing. So while you have been voting these individuals in, thinking that they're functioning on your behalf, they have been functioning on their behalf, not yours. And we can clearly see this with the very information provided by the Integrity Commission on the web pages.
Correct. So this is the Facebook, and we're gonna go through it, right?
Yeah.
Now, the reason a lot of people don't have the information that we're speaking on today is because only 134 persons following the page, right?
134 people.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And they're only following back 19. No problem. But as you could see, this is the page. From September 11th at 11:31 a.m., that was a notice put out to the public, right? And they're saying that the phone number is down. No problem. But that's a cell phone number, if I'm correct. On the
Yeah.
page, you have a landline number, but the cell phone number is down. No problem. All right. So if we're moving ahead, they have a notice of the express of interest, right? For training needs, no problem. This is where we get to the chart that Malachi you were speaking on. Now,
Let's see if
this
we
is
could get that a little bigger so that
specified.
our audience could zoom in on it a little bit more. Let's get that a little bigger there. Let's see. See if we can take off the other side, make it as big as possible so they can see the date, what we're talking about, and they can see how many parliamentarians did what. They
Mhm.
can see all the categories that they're supposed to be, that they're under.
I think because it's Facebook, we won't have it extremely big, right? Compared to having the website that still refuses to load.
Yeah.
But this is what we have. I'll try to expand it as much as possible for everybody.
Yeah. Expand it some more and just bring it over to our right. Yeah. Expand it some more, if you can, possibly. Yeah. Wonderful. Right. Bring it down.
All right.
That's it. Now, read what it says at the top brackets, and we're hoping that the audience can get an idea of what we're showing you. You may need to remove the logo at the top just
Mhm.
for this particular just for a few, so that the audience can get to read. All right. So we
Yes.
have the years of declaration. All right.
So this is the 2025 one, as they would have put out early on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you could clearly see it says submission of declaration for 2028, 2018, sorry, 2019, 2020, 21, 22, 23, 24, and
And
2025.
25, right?
So it would stop up to when Parliament was brought to a halt,
Dissolved. Yep.
correct, just
Because of
before
elections,
next,
dissolved for elections,
right? Now,
right?
if we're looking at this, it says declaration years, and these are the years on this side. Now, if we're looking at total persons in public life, right? In 2018, it is 1,313, right?
Those are
29.
the people in public life. We're talking about, sorry, just to cut, not to cut you.
Go ahead.
We're talking about all the people in public life, the heads of the NDCs, the heads of the police force,
The ministers.
immigration, customs,
Mhm,
GRA, the ministers, all of that include 1,313 individuals, members of the judiciary as well.
correct.
All
So
right?
everybody up top, all the top brass, the big boys as we call them, the
Exactly.
guy now. Now,
Right.
2019, we had 1,251. So we had a decrease in public servants, no problem.
No
2020,
problem.
we went back up to the exact number as 2018,
18.
right?
Mm-hmm.
2021, we had an
We had a
increase
serious increase
of a couple hundred individuals, right?
in public office. Yep.
Correct. 2022, we had a bit of a decrease. No problem. People come and go. 2023, we had a major increase compared to all the previous years. And this, I believe, was within the last 5 years.
It is within the last 5
Yeah.
years.
So this
Then we
within
had
the
a
last 5 years.
major drop off
Correct. So
in
2022, 2023, 2024, not sure why it moved from over 1,000 to hundreds,
851.
right? That is very questionable. Now,
Then
2025, we have 32 and ongoing, right? Now, on this side here, say the declaration submitted in 2018 out of 1,313 individuals, we only had 838 individuals who submitted their declarations. So the
Yep.
question is, what happened to the rest of people? And you could see this is 64%, right? So what happened to the other percentage that makes up 100?
Exactly.
All right. In
And you can see on the
2019,
chart going right down. Right
yeah,
down.
in 2019, we had way less people declared. This was in Granger time. Way
Yeah.
less people declared in 2019. 2020, way less people again. All of this was in Granger tenure, right? So we can't tell who exactly it was, but we know a couple of ministers, probably police officers, military personnel, whoever
Members
was
of the
in public
judiciary,
office,
NDCs, all of them fall under that ambit.
they did not declare, right? Because you could see how much people is expected to be here on this side of the chart and how much people actually declared
Correct.
on this side of the chart, right? Now, if we're coming down 2021, now tell me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is when PUP took over. From
Yep.
2020, we had elections, right?
Correct.
So you could see the difference from when PPP came in office, and we ain't playing politics, but you could see the
Just
difference
numbers.
in individuals.
Just numbers.
Correct.
Numbers
But
don't lie, as they say.
still, while the number of persons increase in
Increase.
public office,
Correct.
this also increased. So we expect that, but we're still seeing out of 1,576 persons, only 923 declared. All
It
right.
was only 59% of the individuals that should have that
Exactly.
actually participated in the declaration process.
No. Moving on to 2022. Ain't no saying what happened, but a lot more people declared in 2022, right?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
2023
2023, a lot
is
more
where we
people
had the
declared as
highest
well.
numbers of individual in office ever,
Mm-hmm.
as far as we're going down on this chart. Only 1,228 individuals. So we're still off by a couple hundred people in
Yep.
2023 that did not declare their assets. They did
Assets.
not submit the information, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, my question would be, what exactly was the Integrity Commission doing all of these years? 2018,
Exactly.
19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. What
Yep.
were they doing?
They, they, they have a lot to answer for because, as you can see in the next bracket, it says the numbers of those individuals who didn't declare and the percentage as well.
Correct.
Their declarations are all outstanding. Why are they
And it's right
outstanding
here.
when the rule from Parliament says this is what it is? You must declare. It's mandatory. Mandatory means there is no escaping it. You cannot be in public office unless you go through this process. So why
Now,
is the mandate not being enforced?
even I would have been embarrassed as the Integrity Commission, whoever's heading that, to put out this type of information when it's incomplete,
Correct.
right? I can't hold a position of that stature and putting out incomplete information. That is equivalent to when the president call all the contractors up and blaze them, why are you behind time on your work? You understand? This is equivalent to that, which means the Integrity Commission has been lacking integrity.
They're lacking big time.
Now, 2024, I so let me explain something. I wrote CXC. I wrote maths. I had a hard life growing up. I was able to write maths. I didn't get ones and twos nor threes. I didn't do the best in maths. But I know in 2024, if you came into office in 2020 and had the highest number, right, and continue to have high numbers, I know we didn't see ministers died out, police officers didn't die out, people in court didn't die out, people in high offices
NDC
didn't die
members
out,
didn't die out. Nobody in fall off.
right? COVID, we had COVID,
2022.
but a lot of people still didn't die in high positions. All right? So it don't make sense why we went from one space in 2023 with 1,607 individuals
Mm-hmm.
to 851,
And then
unless we had a major
246.
decrease.
It probably had a decrease, but then you have 246 individuals still trying to skirt the system.
I mean, come on. I mean, well, this would have been when Brutus got married, other big individuals got
And,
married.
and he said he collected gifts. No,
To
I'm
be
glad
fair,
that you
hold
brought
on, to be fair,
up.
Brutus did declare his gifts. He was just very shy of the amount of gifts he received,
And who you get them from, because it says that specifically in the act. You
right?
must declare once it's over 10,000 Ghana dollars who you got it from as well. You got to declare it and you have to say who it came from
Correct.
and why.
So I am looking at this and I'm questioning, well, as I said, I didn't do the best in maths, but I know for sure the maths is not mathsing. You
No, them not
understand,
saying
man?
that's in at all.
So somebody needs to explain why this don't make sense. Somebody at the Integrity Commission needs to explain why it don't make sense.
Well, at this point, like I said earlier, the Integrity Commission has been dissolved because we went into general and regional elections the other day. And now that we're back, I would not expect a sitting of Parliament until next year because the Integrity Commission is the first that should be established. And of course, the new law should be implemented and updated. before we have the first sitting of parliamentarians going in, which should give them about 2 to 3 months to start the vetting process of these individuals and start collecting their paperwork before they get into parliament. That is
Mhm.
what the Integrity Commission should be doing ASAP. But what I'm
So
seeing,
we just to cut, we did hear on the
yeah,
video that they're hoping to update that system. That video was also 4 years ago,
exactly,
right?
we're hoping, hope.
That video was 4 years ago. So if I'm well, the website can't pull up for some reason. I'm not sure if you're able to get it on your side, Malachi. But on my side, I'm not getting the website to pull up. But
The,
on the
the
website have a lot more information which I was hoping to bring up and
mhm,
to show the years going back, plus the information on the website itself, right? And one of the information I wanted to pull up is the form that you had to fill out, right?
mhm,
Now, if we go back on the video a little bit, let me see if I could pull it. But if we go back on the video, you're able to see the form that the individual is filling out, right?
yeah,
And this form doesn't seem to have a lot of things. You understand me? You're able to fill it out super easy. It's just about 2 pages. This form don't seem to have a lot of information. So what I did, I went to ChatGPT and I asked ChatGPT to create a detailed declaration of assets form for the
mhm,
Integrity Commission. And this is what ChatGPT gave to me,
yeah,
right?
mhm.
Now,
And just before we go further, Martin, just to
mhm,
elaborate on that, Chat GPT or AI, what it does, it will go to all the other integrity commissions documentation and pull that information together to formulate this document.
correct. So while we're paying attention here, now this is the first part, declaration of assets, liabilities, and income form, right?
Mhm.
Now we have the personal information section. So you can put in your name, your date of birth, your national ID passport number. All right. So the address, residential address if mailing, if address mailing if different, the telephone number, email, the marital status, the name and spouse, the name of the spouse partners, and or dependents, right? So you're gonna put in your wife or your husband name, and you're gonna put in your children name or your grandchildren, or if you're a foster parent, whatever. The people who depending on you, you're supposed to put there, right? The section B is the employment and public office. So you're supposed to put your position, who's your employer, whether you're working at Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Housing, Ministry of whatever, right? So when you input that information, we don't have to see Melly Mel or any other influencer coming on social media saying, oh, this person have this and this person do that, because your information should necessarily be public also, from my knowledge how this works, right? Now, if we continue, the section C is the assets. So real estate, land, building, etc., right? The mode of acquisition, purchase, gifts, inheritance. So we know, for instance, Muhammad is coming into parliament. We know he have a big mansion, but do we know if he have 10 other houses across all the regions? Do we know how much boats and helicopters that he have access to? Do we know how much more Lamborghini would have been imported, or Ferraris, or
How many more
Raptors or
cars,
anything?
Raptors, whatever. Yeah,
Do
all
we
of that has
know
got to
these
be declared.
information? Do we know how much vehicles his sister have, his dad have, his children have?
Wow.
Because as we've seen before, Brutus was able to say, well, his child have millions, or I should say hundreds of millions of dollars
Only in Guyana,
in
only
their
in
bank
Guyana,
account.
this level of insanity takes place, and the
So
population sits there like they don't, they can't see.
We would need to see what type of money Shell Mohammed have as their big business people, what type of money Azadin Mohammed have, what type of money Infant Ali have, Jack Dio
Exactly.
have, ministers,
Everybody.
Rodriguez, Minister of Priyamani Chan, Minister
Gail
whoever,
Teixeira, everybody.
we would be able to see how much money they have today. You understand me? So this is the importance of having this form and a detailed form more so. Motor
Exactly.
vehicles, again, how much Ferraris came in? We only know about one, but are there more? Is it under the same individual? Bank account
Hmm.
information, local and foreign. A lot of people get visa and got bank accounts in Miami and New York. We
Correct.
need to know these
Correct.
things. This is how the US was able to sanction the Mohammeds because based on the information and the bank accounts, the houses, the cars in America. So them in just coming and looking in guy in the backyard and say, "Oh, he bringing in Ferrari, and we going no." They're seeing on their side the records, right? Now, if I'm continuing, the investment, shares, bonds, securities, insurance policies, retirement funds, people
Yep.
in government. What is your what is your investment? Do you have a condo, right? Do you have
Hmm.
rental properties? Are you a fish farmer? Are you a gold miner? You understand? What type of business and investment you have? Whether you put $10 or $50. You understand? What type of company you have? What policy you have, right? What type of insurance policy you have? I have insurance policies on my life. So if I was going into government, I would have to declare and say, well, hey, I got this amount of money on me. So if I fall down dead, my family will be able to gain that money, but they will also know that money came from this specific place because this happened to me. Not me end up with $10 million today and they don't know where it came from, or
Nobody
I
knows
can't
where it came
show
from.
where it came from.
Exactly.
You understand?
Exactly.
So same thing. I've seen businesses who got investments in banking system. No problem. But I'm questioning everything, right? If we're going down the business interest and partnerships, again.
What? Not cutting Martin. While you
Mhm.
mentioned banks, I gotta remind the audience again that even the sitting board members on banks, even if the government has investment in NIS, in Demerara Bank, in any of the local banks, those persons also have to declare.
Yeah, man.
Yes, continue, brother.
Yes. So we're continuing. The business and partnership. Are you and your child in partnership? What type of business you and your child have? What type of business you and your best friend from school have? I've heard one person say he and Mohammed went to university together. Now, you understand? We've seen Mohammed invested in other people, which means he's an investor. Now, what is the deal with that? All the people he invested behind, whether it be a motorbike, a shopman, or wherever, is he
Yeah,
owning parts of these business? We need to know these things. This is
their
the
music
purpose of the
career.
integrity committee,
Exactly,
right?
exactly. This is what these things are for.
Other assets, jewelry, artwork, livestock, equipment, how much cows you have. Again, are you a fish farmer? How much thousands or millions of fish you farm in a month?
Hmm.
Right? How much gold bangles you have? We have a lot of Indian people, they like the tailory them. How much gold
Hmm.
bangle you got? How much silver rings you have? How much chains? We need to know
You
these things.
see, one of the things
Azuddin
that our
Mohammed,
people need to understand. Go
Azuddin
ahead.
Mohammed likes to wear the Louis Vuitton and the whatever brand of
Versace,
clothing.
the
How
Versace.
much t-shirt that costs $10,000 you have? This is things we need to know. How much Birkin bags your sister own? Because don't feel you're gonna hide the money by buying a Birkin bag. We know how much a Birkin bag costs. We know how much the
Gosh,
Rolex and the Philippe Tech watches cost. You can't hide these things. And Guyanese need to stop being stupid
I'm telling
because
you.
I
You
am
know,
never going to allow a billionaire to come in and run an entire country or have say in the function of a country. And I don't know, all right, well, how much billions do you have? Are you a
you
billionaire
know,
with
one of the things,
assets or are you a billionaire with cash? Because
well, one of the
everybody
things
is a
I
billionaire.
everybody's a billionaire. One of the things I wanted to say too, Martin, and just in hindsight, looking back at the constitution of the parliament, let's say a few years ago, there was a
Mhm.
gentleman in the parliament by the name of Carl Greenwich. All right, at the time, Carl Greenwich was the only man with a Porsche drop top
Mm.
pulling into parliament there, right? And everybody made a big halabaloo about him pulling in there with Italian leather seats
Come
in
on,
this
man.
Porsche. All right. But however, Carl Greenwich was able to declare his assets, being a long-time diplomat
Mm.
and a very intelligent man who has been working in the diplomatic field since Forbes Burnham's time to now. He was able to declare his assets because he can show means on how he got his drop top.
Correct.
Now we know for a fact that we're going to have a set of people going into parliament who, one, will not be able to declare their assets, and some of them would not want that yearly audit of their assets and liabilities because from the first year they're in there, they're expecting their growth of whatever they have to grow exponentially, so they don't want to declare that.
Mm-hmm.
And let us be straight with that. Now, this is where the Guyanese citizenry, they have to understand that they have the right to pressure, to apply pressure, especially to this constituted body, which is the Integrity Commission, to function under the mandate of the laws of Guyana.
Indeed.
That's what they have.
Indeed. Now, as we're continuing, it also have your assets, as we would have seen, and it do have the liabilities. And if you know what is a liability is something that decreases in value, right? So while your gold bangles could stay forever and the price gonna go up as long as gold is raising, your silver might drop. You understand, man? Or your cows is an asset. It's also a liability because once you kill it off, or if it die off by itself, it there's no money to be made. We've
Once
seen this
there's
in
diseases
farming.
or anything, there's no money.
Correct. I've done livestock farming before, and when I had hundreds of chicken just fall along and dead, and I couldn't say what happened. You understand me? So you need to know, all right, again, what is your liabilities? All debts, your mortgage, your loans, your guarantees, your obligations. We need to know how much debt you have. This is why we could look at America and say, oh, Trump filed bankrupt 7 times and he's a billionaire and this. We know it because the information was declared, right? Now, continuing the income. We need to know how much money you're getting by sitting in parliament or sitting in a high office. How much money is the police commissioner receiving? How much money is the deputy commissioner receiving? How much money is the ministers receiving? Each and every one of them, whether it be from the president, the vice president, the prime minister, the all the top ministers, all the new junior ministers, because we do have a big change up in parliament that is happening,
Yeah,
right? How much money is individually receiving? Anybody in power, the permanent secretary is already sworn in. How much money they getting? You
correct.
understand?
This is what I'm saying. Guyanese don't understand that these bits of information should be available because there is no secret in government.
Correct. You're in public office. Everything
This is
is
public
there for
office.
scrutiny. Everything. Even your blood type is there for scrutiny. Because don't feel you can draw out one blood today and come back with another one tomorrow. You understand? Your income, we
Who
need to know your
paid who
salary.
paid for the blood transfusion to happen?
Exactly. We need to know the allowance. When you're in government office, you have entertainment allowance, you have different allowances. You're able to, I believe, as ministers, you're able to go and get rental properties and vehicles and these things, and it's being paid by the money, right? You're allowed to do certain things. So, how much you receive in a month? If you have businesses again, if you have a Chinese supermarket and you're renting the place, how much money you're
Correct.
receiving, right? The dividends, whether you have stocks, how much interest are you receiving, right? And other source. For instance, our good friend who got married, how much exact money are you receiving? You understand, man?
Yeah.
And as we continue, this section say the F section is spouse dependents, assets, liabilities, and incomes. So again, your child could have their 20th birthday or their 16th birthday and their grandparents or their great grandparents gave them some money. We need to know how much money they're receiving for their birthdays. It can't be a billion.
But the Integrity Commission laws specifically says, and again, this is where again we have to update these laws. But as it is presently, it specifically says anything over $10,000 once you're in public office has
Hmm.
got to be declared, and you've got to let that commission know what it was for.
Correct.
You can't collect a nice big gold band that is valued X amount of money. And you just saying, well, I collect a gold band. It could be a businessman who will get into business directly with the government, which would create conflict of interest
They're
because
trying
he
to
knows
bribe you.
exactly. He got a partner on his side. You're
No,
gonna go
well,
to buy a car and the dealer gonna give you the car and say, man, no, I know you, you're there in there.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. We ain't looking for that. We don't need that.
No.
You understand? Now, if you go down, you put in your information. I, whoever, in this case, I, Martin Al-Ameen, hereby declare that the information given on this form, to the best of my knowledge, believe is true and correct, right? And you could continue. You would date it, you would sign it, and so forth. And with a witness. So you would have to have a witness from your end. You
Yeah.
understand me? So, for instance, if I'm declaring my assets, liabilities, and everything, I would probably have you as
Yeah.
a witness. You understand? So I could
And
say,
vice versa.
if anything happened in the instance like Brutus them, I could say no. You remember on this date, me and this person, this is my witness. If we go into court, me and this person was here and signed this and submitted. You
Correct.
understand me? And it.
And
Mhm.
and the Integrity Commission has also have they must have an investigation arm
Correct.
because they can't sit there in their office, review paperwork, and say, well, okay, I approve or I pass this individual without a real in-depth investigation. They have to have sweeping powers to go to the bank. They have to have sweeping powers to gather information via GRA. They have to have sweeping powers to go to insurance companies, NIS, um, Demerara Mutual, get
Hmm.
information gathering on anything that somebody says. Because if you have a property, most likely you're going to have insurance on that property. Let's see what you are paying as insurance. If you got a mortgage through the bank, we need that information. Those are the bits of information that the Integrity Commission needs a group of investigators with the legal power to go find and to verify that what these individuals put down on those forms are true and factual.
Unclear. Correct. Now, I mean, we've went through an entire list, right? From start to finish.
Yeah.
We've went through an entire list. Now, if you pay attention to the for the official use only, date
Hmm.
received, the reference number, the officer's name, and signature.
Yeah.
With having this simple information, we today shouldn't have a problem with Mohammed's vehicle at GRA or anybody vehicle of that matter. We shouldn't have an issue at GRA with one individual being arrested and charged. I believe I've seen the word charge now by stealing $5 million from GRA. With having an integrity commission, we don't have individuals embezzling money. You understand? You
Correct.
can be in high positions or associated with people in high positions and doing certain things. It should
Correct.
not stand. And we as Guyanese should not stand for it. We should not accept it.
We should
Because
be
at the end of the day,
demanding
we are the
higher
ones being
standards. Exactly. We have to demand higher standards from the people who we vote into positions of power. We
hmm
just cannot vote them in and believe that he's a good man, according to our people. He's a good man. He can do the right thing.
No, sir.
Do the right thing? How
You
is
should
he
do
going
the
to do
right
the
thing
right thing
before.
when people are around him or her that because of their own self interest, they will give money to, they will skirt systems, bribe. And we know this is an entrenched thing in Guyana. Bribery is entrenched.
Hmm.
People say, I didn't really want to give the police the 10,000, but I didn't really have the time for things. So I'll give you a 10,000. How does that make sense? If you're
Brother,
not bribing a police officer, you are not bribing a police officer.
exactly. At some point, we need to get it together. We need to
We
cut
need
the
to understand.
nonsense.
We need to cut it and stop saying, well, it's Guyana with them, man. That's another thing that I can't take with Guyanese. But if we want to change the system and those people on the outside want to say, well, I have a stake in Guyana and I
Hmm.
have something to do with my country, the best thing that they can do at this point in time is for all Guyanese on any political divide, whether it's on the opposition or on the government side, they should be calling for a stronger, robust integrity commission to handle the 65 individuals that are going in to our National Assembly. Because now we're sitting and saying, oh, well, the president doing good things. President Ali may have a good idea of what he wants to do and achieve for his people. But are you saying everybody else at the table in the government side is going there to achieve the goals of the president? I don't think so.
No.
It would be naive for the people of Guyana to sit in their homes and believe that every minister that's going in there is going in there with one purpose and one purpose alone, to
Hmm.
function under exactly what the president says.
Mm-hmm.
People are going in there with their own ulterior motives. People are going in there to get money, and that's a fact.
I mean, we've seen this time and time again. Ministers being accused of this and that, police officers
If it's
being
not a
accused.
kickback scheme, the NDC's got problems, money is missing, money cannot be accounted for. Those people at City Hall have to be held accountable under the Integrity Commission. This is
Mm-hmm.
why I'm saying that we should educate ourselves as the population of Guyana about this system, because it's so necessary that you cannot have, for example, the mayor and some councillors and some people sitting there for years in the system. All they're getting wealthy, but you're wondering, how is the city not developing? How are things this bad? There's no gutter cleaning, no garbage collection. You know why that's not happening? Because we don't have an effective integrity commission with wide-ranging power to seize these people's bank accounts, their properties, and to institute charges for them to go to jail. That is what needs to happen, and cut the corruption out. We
I
cannot be
agree.
no longer sit on social media and holler it, oh, corruption, 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 friends and family. It just sounds extremely immature and infantile for the people to do that. What they need to do is to understand the laws of Guyana, and the law of Guyana has put in the Constitution the Integrity Commission to handle these situations where you may not have the knowledge to oversee, but that regulatory body has the power to look into these individuals. Another thing about that, you can't just write up a form and says, I believe this person is doing corruption because I see this, this, and this. That would make absolutely no sense because you do not know where that individual's income is coming from. Whether they have two or three, four incomes, whether they had a business before they got into parliament, nothing at all. This is why this declaration of your assets and liabilities is so critical to the process. Because if you get in there and you was a part owner of churches and you're no longer the owner or part owner of churches, we gotta know.
Mm-hmm.
If you got shares in DDL and you hand it over to your son, we gotta know. If you have shares in a bank in Guyana, you've got investment in the Marriott, we have to know. We also have to know where your wife getting money from too.
Where
Because
your children get their money
she
from.
can't be a housewife and end up with $100 million in her bank account.
With this in place, we wouldn't have to be seeing once again individuals coming out and say, "Oh, the president mother get this, or the president wife have this, or the president child have this." We've seen the president's son do his lemonade sale, and it would say, "Oh, he make $6 million or $4 million off of lemonade." No problem. That information need to be declared correctly,
Yeah,
right?
let's see.
So there's
Let's
no speculation where that money, because even I believe that money now is being donated to charities. So we need to see that income and outcome,
where it
right?
go.
With that money getting.
Yeah,
So we can't be stupid as individuals and think, oh, they're beautiful people, they're doing it for the betterment of the Guyanese citizen. No, they have not. Your parents have not been doing the best for you. So how are you going to think somebody else who don't know you backside can do something better for you?
who don't know you exactly. I mean, your parents usually try their best, up to their best, and after that, their
Well,
best ain't good enough.
well, this is the thing. You could only try as much as you know, and nobody never know it all.
Exactly.
So we can't sit and be stupid and complacent and think, oh yes, they got this together. No, they don't. They need our guidance. We need their guidance, right?
And you
So
know, again, I encourage the citizenry of Guyana, sorry, to go check out that website. Let me just mention that website again. Check out the integritycommission.gov.gy for all
is
of
it
this
pulled up on your
information.
side, Malachi?
Yes, it. Let me see if it came up. Nope, I'm having the same issue.
So I am thinking like Sunday's government shut off for real.
No, well, there may be no. What has been going on? GTT has made it clear that they're having some problems with the internet
Kevin
because,
and GTNT.
well, once the database is based in Guyana, it's going to have a problem wherever you are trying to access it.
Understood.
All right, but GTT has got an issue. I'm hoping they resolve that issue, and also they have got to put mechanisms in place to ensure that people are not their cables are not easily vandalized. Put
Mm-hmm.
them underground in concrete pipes that are protected, so that
Yeah.
any willy nilly person can't just go to that box and disturb the entire internet flow.
We gotta act like we have some type of sense, man.
I'm
This is
telling
what
you,
I
we
don't
gotta
get.
Guyana just has to operate on a different level. But again, I was saying to the citizenry of Guyana, go to the integritycommission.gov.gy. That's Integrity Commission, one word, all two words together, right? .gov.gy for more information on the Integrity Commission, the
Yes.
fraud detection and prevention, forensic accounting and auditing, all right? Operational risk management. Make sure that you get this information, understand it clearly. And what I do love about the website is that most of the information is in layman terms, so you
Correct.
should be able to understand it easily. Get this information, and for those in the diaspora as well, because I know a lot of people are in the diaspora paying attention to Guyana. And they're the ones who propagated, oh, Guyana is an oil-rich nation. We are not, again, an oil-rich nation. We are an oil-producing nation. The
We
only
don't
way
get
we
it
become an
started.
oil-rich nation is if we have prudent management by those 65 people who are going to be in parliament next year.
Hmm.
I would encourage the citizenry again, read up on the information and make a lot of noise to the government of the day. Institute, because it's no longer there. They have been dissolved when you have general and regional elections. Institute the Integrity Commission before, months before you have the sessions of Parliament, so it can give the Integrity Commission enough time to at least start vetting the parliamentarians as they get in, and to have ongoing um, investigations into every person sitting in that chamber. Because at the end of every year, every person in that chamber is supposed to be audited. And
Indeed.
if anything changes with them, they must declare. And if not, give the Integrity Commission sweeping powers to arrest individuals, to seize bank accounts and property.
Well, I think they have some level of powers, because if as a regular citizen you have some level of power to do certain things, like I can't stand and see you committing a crime and not play a part. Is either
Well,
I'm taking
you
part
could a
of that crime
citizen
or I'm
arrest.
just a bystander.
Right.
You could do a citizen arrest. So I do think by just having the Integrity Commission alone gives you some level of power, and they should be able to create a department within department for themselves to do things, right?
Yeah.
But just to make again, we don't have the website available. It's not our fault. It's on their side,
Yeah.
but the website have a lot of information to check out,
Mm-hmm.
right? That is necessary for the regular man. We wouldn't have
Yeah.
to be worrying about certain things, certain individuals in government.
Yeah.
We seen Mr. Isaac said people could pay people could get paid in cash. We know Muhammad said he's not gonna be collecting money, no problem. Now it's different because now it's coming in cash. So you
It
might
comes in
want the
cash.
money every now and then,
Right.
right?
So what we do? You giving it to charity or you leaving it there?
But even if you're not taking it in cash or you're not taking it at all, you still have things allotted to you, right? So you might get a new vehicle, you might get
If he's
concessions.
appointed the leader of the leader of the opposition office gets a 1.8 million Guyana dollar subvention for their office, for their bills. They get perks. They get I think it's a vehicle allowance. All of that comes along with being the leader of the opposition.
So
How again is this going to happen? Because remember, we got three opposition parties. We have the Win, we have PNC, and we have the Forward Guyana Movement. That's three opposition parties. All right. And I know people are going to say tonight, but you're only talking about the opposition parties. Let me go back a little bit for those people who are now joining us. We started off by saying the new dispensation where the PPP is going in with 36 of the 35 seats. They are the first that have to go through the process of the declaration of assets, because they're also taking some new people in there, like my good learned lawyer friend, Mr. Bond. So I'm hoping that they look at the issue very seriously. And I know a lot of legal luminaries are in both sides of the camp, especially in the PNC. But we have not heard the journalists talk about this issue. We have not heard the politicians talk about these issues. We haven't heard the social commentators, the Freddie Kissoons. None of these people have brought this issue to the fore. None of the politicians, the legal minds, the Charandas, none of these people are talking about the Integrity Commission. You know
no, but
why they're keeping this quiet?
It goes to show because they stand to benefit if this system is not functioning. They now
or
could
if
thief
or
and
if the
bribe and hide.
citizenry or if the citizenry is not au fait. Because as we showed you in the beginning of this discussion, how many people follow the page that
A
have
hundred
the
and
information?
something.
100 and something individuals from Guyana. And this is just, and I doubt they have read the information. I just think they looked at the page and just clicked follow and
I
done with
mean,
that.
of course, because how much people we had voted? 600 something thousand, I believe they say,
Something like that.
and only 100 that you could literally line them up and count them. All the
Seriously.
voters need to go and follow the page, and the page needs to be functioning. I mean, we've seen it; it's pretty much empty,
It's got
right?
ads and all kinds of things on there which are totally irrelevant to the function of that particular entity. So it is again extremely important. While we have an opposition, we have an opposition elect now, no, a opposition select, as he calls himself. My boy, Mikel Rodriguez, he's the opposition select. All right. But these are the things that really all the individuals who are really interested in the development of Guyana, and we want to weed out the friends and family, we want to weed out the corruption. This is the focal point of how we start correcting the system. All right.
Yes.
Now we got to wrap it up for this evening. Hope we gave you some really pertinent information. We'll be back on Tuesday on the conversation to give you more in-depth, pertinent, information on governance of Guyana, how it works, how you, as the citizenry, can get involved, where you can play your part in keeping the checks and balances on our politicians and the people we appoint to high office in our country.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, I think it is good that we brought this information, right? Anytime I am doing things like this, like we was doing the research and I got super excited to learn, just basically learn certain things that a lot I didn't know, right? I mean, personally, I move in a certain way that I keep my integrity in line, but I can't say the same for everybody, right? And this is why it's necessary that we have it in law and more
Yeah,
so that the law be enforced,
forced. Correct.
right?
The
Because
law
in
must
Guyana, we
be
got a bunch
enforced.
of laws, but enforcement of those laws, it is not
Yeah,
there. So we
correct.
need to make sure we get it together. I would have said just before election, I will take it upon myself to make sure certain people is held accountable. You ain't gonna be spending it. It's best I don't pay taxes because you're not gonna be spending out my tax money
Yeah,
and wasting time. So we could do it either way. So it's either I encourage the population, the Guyanese people to go left, which is against the government and against all the corruption,
yeah.
or they just go with it by themselves and
And
suffer
just
the consequences.
just before we wrap it up, Martin, let me talk about that retroactive um, salary for those
Yes,
people in parliament.
yes,
Well,
I
what I've
did heard
heard,
about that.
right? Well, what I've heard about that, the retroactive would be only for those members of parliament returning to parliament,
Mm,
not for the new members, or for people who are now coming in. There's no retroactive for them. That's just for the ones who have been there before. But again, we still need to have the integrity commission before they give them that retroactive.
mm-hmm.
We still need to have the integrity commission run them properly, all their
Yes.
assets, all their property, all their bank accounts, whether in Guyana or not. We got to
Even the
wrap it up
people
for
at the
this.
Integrity Commission needs to be scrutinized and checked. So
Well, that's why you have
nobody
to have
gets a
the
pass.
investigative bodies. This is why
Nobody
we have
gets a
to have the
pass.
investigative bodies, because the investigative bodies are also supposed to be looking at those people at GRA and all of that. But that's for another time. We got
Yep.
to wrap it up for this evening. Hope you had a great time here with us. You learned something. Go educate yourself. Again, go on the integritycommission.gov gy. Get yourself some more education on that. And just before we wrap it up, Martin, the disclaimer before we get out of here.
And the disclaimers reads, the views, opinions, and statements expressed on the conversation are solely those of the individual hosts and guests, and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of our advertisers, Majestic Music Radio, Gem Radio, or Gem Networks. The content of this show is intended for informational and entertainment purposes only, and should not be considered as professional advice. Listeners' discretion is advised. Neither the station nor the network assumes any responsibility or liability for the accuracy, completeness, or validity of the information presented. All content is subject to change without prior notice.
Make
I
sure you
say,
check us out. Sorry. Make sure
go
you check
ahead.
us out tomorrow morning on the Rush Guyana's Industry Show for Monday. You know how we motivate you on a Monday, but we got to get out of here. And as we
Mhm.
always say, right? One people,
One people,
one
one
nation,
nation,
one
one destiny,
destiny.
brother.
Love you, Guyana. We out of here.